All right. Well, now for the moment that I've been waiting for, and hopefully maybe some of you too. We've had an amazing list of speakers like Chelsea and Jim and so many others sharing inspiring stories and giving out priceless content about how you can actually grow your law firm to the point where it might be a little overwhelming. Yeah. So we're going to talk about something that I like to think is simplifying things. Just taking a step back from everything we've talked about today and talking about law firm growth. It's really actually not that hard. In fact, when you have the right framework, it can be downright easy. And so, what I want to do is take you through a framework that we use with our clients to talk about how they can grow their law firm in an easy way. And this is great for you if law firm growth has been difficult, it's been hard, it's been a struggle. Um, this is also good for you if law firm growth has been something that you haven't worked out for whatever reason. You keep thinking, what am I missing? What am I missing? What am I missing? We're going to talk about that today. Um, I think I've introduced myself to everybody. So um, I am the managing partner of Law Firm Success Group. A couple of other things. I'm also an author. There's a link to the book and also a podcast host. Link to the podcast if you want to check those things out. I hope you find them useful. Um, Look, this is going to be an interactive conversation, which means I'm going to ask you to dig deep and I'm going to ask you to use that chat box. Most of the talks have been people talking to you and sharing their ideas, but I'm going to have more of a 50-50 split. I'm going to do some talking, yes, but I want you to also feed me some things back because between those two things, we're going to have a really powerful conversation that's going to drive a lot of insights your way. If you stick quiet, if you lurk, you're not going to get nearly as much out of this presentation. So I'm going to give you everything I can in the time that we have, and then I'll show you how to get more help if you want it. So we're going to be moving really, really fast. Don't feel like you've got to get everything because, as you know, you're going to be able to get the slides and the recording to all of this. Okay, so take all that stress off of you. This is not about that. It's about you engaging and being present. And the first question that I have for you, and I want you to type this into the chat box. I'm going to give you some time to think about it, but I want to hear from you really. This is the Law Firm Growth Conference. So presumably you're here because you want to grow your law firm. So I want to hear from you. Why? Why do you want to grow your law firm? And there's a reason I'm asking you for that. So please type that into the chat right now. Why do you want to grow your law firm? The reason I'm asking that question as you're typing your responses there into the chat is because that more than anything else is what's going to drive you towards doing it or not. You have to have a really interesting reason for you as to why you want to grow your firm. So please type that in the chat right now. You are all there. I want to hear what you have to say. Why do you want to grow your law firm? Felix says to retire wealthy and to enjoy the last 15 to 20 years of practice. I love that. Love that, Felix. Thank you for sharing that. To have more freedom, yes, that is a huge part of this, right? Like Chelsea does. She's grown her law firm. She's on track to go 30% next year, working 40 hours a week and having a rich life. That's what this is all about. So thank you both for your comments. I want to hear from others too about why it is you want to grow your firms. But let's shift gears here. What is the toughest part? And this might be easier for you. What is the toughest part about growing your law firm? Go ahead and type it into the chat. What's the toughest part about growing your law firm? Doesn't have to be well thought out. It could be a one-word answer. Freedom to travel and retire wealthy. A wonderful reason there, Vanita. Thanks for sharing that with us. And what is the toughest part of growing your law firm? Go ahead and type that in the chat right now. How to get new clients. Yeah, absolutely, Sharon. For some of us, that is a real challenge. Allocating the time to work on. Yes, Felix. Time is so important. Vanita says processes, systems. If you don't have those in place, it's like you're reinventing the wheel every time you interact with a client or work on a case. Yeah, fantastic responses. Thank you. And so the problem we're really dealing with here at the end of the day is this. You were not trained to be a business owner. Um, most of you, most of us are really trying to grow your firm while you're running it. Um, and that's kind of like trying to build a plane while it's flying. You can totally do it in a law firm, not in a plane. In a law firm, you can, but it's frustrating, exhausting, it's scary, and you can crash. And because all your time is spent running the business and working in your firm, you don't have the time to learn how to do it better. Like you're making a tremendous investment of your time to come to this conference. It's really, really hard to carve out that time to learn how to really do it better for your firm. And so, how do you avoid ending up like this? Just not enough hours, exhausted all the time, unable to take the time off you want. And even when you take a vacation, you end up working during the vacation. And your family has a great time, but you're in the hotel room working away. Um, it's not enough to have a profitable business. It's just not. You need to have time, you need to have lots of energy, and you need to feel like you're running downhill instead of pushing a boulder uphill all the time. And that's what's so wonderful in many ways of owning your own business if you do it right. Uh, as an attorney, you can really achieve freedom by owning your own firm because you can run it the way you want. It's totally possible. Chelsea's an example. Jim's an example. We've heard from other attorneys who are examples. You can do it. So here's the good news. You only need four things for law firm growth. And we know what they are. We've worked with clients over time, spent a lot of time thinking about this and working on this with our clients. We know what those four things are. I'm going to show it to you today. Um, so that part is simple, right? Just four things. It's simple, but it's not easy. And that's the thing. The title of this talk is Law Firm Growth Made Easy, not Law Firm Growth Made Simple. So where am I going with this? Well, that's the good news. I'm going to share with you maybe a little bit of bad news for many of you. Um, Law firm growth is easiest when you apply business best practices early on in your firm, right? Like with what Chelsea and Emily have done. That's because you're working with a blank slate. So there's less baggage to manage. It's much, much easier just to do it right the first time, you know? Um, and law firm growth made easy means applying those four requirements as early as possible. And a few of our speakers have done just that, like Noelle and Chelsea and a few others, Sophie. So the further along you are in your law firm path, the tougher it can be. It's still simple, like we said before, but it may not be as easy as you'd hoped. Um, that analogy of building a plane while it's flying applies again here. And here's an analogy that anyone's gone through a remodel or reno can really appreciate. It's easier to build it right the first time than to go back and fix it later. But fear not. Fear not. Don't worry. Law firm growth is still possible as long as you have the four requirements. So we're going to get into those four requirements right now. All right. So we're talking about the four requirements. There we go. The four requirements of law firm growth. And we're going to do this as a Venn diagram because knowing what you're missing is oftentimes even more important than knowing what you've got. So let's start with the first thing, and you've heard this from some of our speakers today. The first thing really is this little thing called time. You need to have the time, right, to work on your firm because this is working on your firm. If all your time is spent doing the work and being in your firm, you're not going to be able to grow it any further. You're already maxed out. So the first thing is time. Second, and this is in no particular order, by the way, that's a whole different conversation. Um, the second is knowledge. You've got to know how to do it. If you're trying to grow a firm, you have to learn how to run your firm like a business. You have to learn what are the different growth tactics that are out there. This conference provides a lot of knowledge for you to grow your firm. So that's the knowledge piece. You also, and this may be a little controversial, you also need to have, oh, there we go. I was trying to get that all along. You also need to have money. As Chelsea mentioned, you've got to invest into your firm to get growth. It doesn't work the other way around. You can't just grow and then invest later. You've got to invest in growth before you get it. Then you will sow what you will reap. Sorry, you will reap what you will sow, excuse me. But you've got to sow those seeds, and that oftentimes requires money. Maybe not a lot, but it does require money. And the last piece is mindset. Without a growth mindset, none of this works. You can have all the time you want. You can have all the information at your fingertips, all the tools and techniques you could ever think of. You may have all the money in the world, but if you don't have a growth mindset, if you haven't parked that lawyer brain aside for some time, it's not going to happen. But as it turns out, we need all four of these things. So let's talk about what happens when maybe we don't have all of them, right? Some of you are looking at this probably going, oh, I don't need all those things. I only need a couple of these things. Well, let's talk about what happens when we only have a couple of these things. So if you have time and knowledge, let's say, right? So you have these two things here, time and knowledge. You know exactly how to grow a law firm, and you have the time to figure out how you want to grow your firm. You've got those things. Well, that's great. You're going to have big plans. And it's awesome to have big plans. But without the growth mindset to take action, without the growth mindset to take a calculated risk, and without the money to do it, that's all you're going to have are big plans. Now, let's say you've got time and you've got money. Again, you have lots of time to think about all of this stuff, and you've got the money, but you don't have the knowledge to how to grow the firm, and you don't have that mindset. What have you got? Well, if you have time, great. You know, you've got time to enjoy things in life, and you've got money. For a lot of us, that's a dream. I've got time, I've got money, I'm good. What you have there is you have a fixed lifestyle. So kudos to you for having time and money. That's where it's going to stop, though. And for some of us, that's not enough. We either want to upgrade our lifestyle, or we're also motivated by other things like impact in our community, helping clients, as many clients as possible, realizing our potential, and all of those things. Now, what if you've got the right mindset now? So now you've got a growth mindset, you're thinking creatively, you have vision about your firm, you're willing to really take action and take action fast to grow your firm. That's the right mindset. And you've got money. That's awesome, right? It totally is. But it's not enough, because when you have those two things, if you've got the right growth mindset and you've got the money, but you don't have the knowledge of how to invest your money, where to invest it, and you don't have the time to really figure this out because you're going a mile a minute, you end up throwing money at the problem because that's all you've got. So you just keep throwing money at it, hoping that you're going to get some sort of a return, right? So that doesn't work either. So let's take a look at that last scenario. You've got mindset, the growth mindset, and you've got the knowledge. Knowledge is power. You have the right mindset to take action based on that knowledge. Fantastic. You're good to go, right? Well, you don't have the time and you don't have the money. And this is oftentimes where we see people when they're starting their firm. They have that growth mindset. They really want to grow. You know, they really want knowledge. They're hungry for knowledge. They're scouring podcasts and reading books like there's no tomorrow. They're doing all of that. But that's all they're able to do because they don't have time. They're too buried with work and they don't have money. So what they have to do? Well, they've got to grind away. Okay. And again, this is where a lot of attorneys are when they start. This is where I started when I was a business coach, gosh, over a decade ago. I had the mindset, I had the knowledge, and I had to work my tail off to get some time and to get some capital. And that's what I did. And that's what Chelsea and others have done too. So these are the four requirements for growth here. You need time. You need knowledge. You need the right growth mindset, and you need money. If you have all of those things, then congratulations. Because when you have all of those things, you get growth. And really, when people talk about what a business coach does, if you talk to people, there's lots of different ways that business coaches help businesses. But what we do at Law Firm Success Group, at the end of the day, if I was to boil it down to any one thing, I'd boil it down to this right here. Because a lot of times clients come to us and they don't have enough of these four things to get to where they want to go. They might have some of them, but they're missing some things to get to the next level. And what we do is we help them get there. We help them uncover money in their firm if that's what they need. We help them free up their time so they can focus on growing their firm. We help them and equip them with knowledge, tools, techniques, templates, so that they can get to the next level. And we give them the mindset, the encouragement, the accountability, the pursuit of action, the vision, and the confidence that they need so they can make those decisions to grow. And that's really all that it is. A lot of the great stuff in business already exists today. It's not really a question of coming up with something new. It's a question of coming up with what's best for you. And that's what you need to figure out. So I want you to take a quick exercise right now. I'm going to bounce back to the slides here. Stop the share. All right. So now I want to hear from you. As you think about your law firm, put my iPad down here. Which of the four requirements of growth do you feel that you need the most? I want to hear from you in the chat box. Which of the four requirements of growth do you need the most? Because in order to grow, the simplest thing you can do is whatever you're missing there is to go get it. You don't need to hire us, but you do need to go get after that. So type in the chat box, one word, which of those four requirements do you need the most? Is it time? Is it knowledge? Is it money? Or is it mindset? I want to hear from you. Is it time, knowledge, money, mindset? Yes, knowledge, says Chelsea. Always more and more. Love that approach. Yeah, you can never have too much. Sharon says knowledge. Awesome. Conferences like this are great places to get it. Carolina says time. Time, as I believe, is our most precious asset. That's a great answer. These are all really good answers. Vanita says knowledge and money. Yeah, there's sometimes people need two, three, or even all four things. And that's totally okay. The important thing is you understand what it is that you need to get to that next level. Because if you try to do it without that, as we've talked about, you end up with big plans or a fixed lifestyle or throwing money at the problem or just grinding and working away. But you're not going to be able to get to that next level of, get to that next level of growth. You need all four. So, question for you. If you built the law firm you want, if you were able to get what it is you're lacking, whether it's knowledge, time, money, mindset, and if you were to have those things, you could build a law firm that you want. This is where I really need you to take that lawyer brain and take that skepticism and put it aside. Think big. Dare to dream a bit. It's okay. No one's going to hold you accountable to this. If you built the law firm you want, how would your life change? I don't want to hear about the firm. I want to hear about the impact it would have in your life. If you built that firm, how would your life change? Go ahead and type that into the chat box right now. Again, if you built the law firm you want, unlimited resources, you're able to build the law firm of your dreams, how would that impact your life? Would you be making more money? Would you be taking trips all around the world? Would you be dipping your toes in a beach? Maybe pursuing other projects? Would you be able to give away some of the work that you do pro bono and help others and not feel guilty about it? Minwan says, I would have more time to do things outside of business. Yeah, great. This is the fuel that you're going to need to do the work to grow. right? These kinds of questions, thinking about how would your life change? Why do you want to grow? These are mindset questions. It goes straight to that mindset piece. And having the answers to those questions are really going to help you put in the time and energy and sometimes capital to grow your firm. It's a scary question. That's why a lot of people don't want to respond. I get it. So the obvious question, because you heard from 18 different speakers now, all sorts of ideas, all sorts of tips, things on all of these things, really mindset, money, time, and certainly knowledge. Oh my gosh, what do I do next? What am I going to do tomorrow? How am I going to work on my firm? What do I do first? Maybe I'll just wait for the videos and look through them. But that's the issue, right? Um, you've got to figure out something to do. And the good news is you have everything you need to grow your firm. You can do it yourself, right? Totally okay. A lot of people have done that and been very successful. There's a lot of trial and error involved. And you heard from Jim, he, reinvented the wheel and he learned a lot along the way. So doing it yourself works really, really well. It takes trial and error. It's going to be slow. Or you can do it faster and easier than you could on your own. And that really, at the end of the day, is where we come in. If you want to get this done faster and easier, happy to chat with any of you. Use a QR code right now on your screen. You can schedule a free chat with me. There's no selling on the call. We're just going to talk about your practice, see where you are in terms of those 4 requirements, and identify some opportunities. Totally confidential, no selling. My website, email address is there too if you want to shoot me an email or check out the website. And I'm happy to answer your questions now about law firm growth. Just type them into the chat box, and I'm going to go ahead and get to as many of them as I can.